The Utah Mammoth is sorta proud to present NASHCAST.
What the is a NASHCAST?
NASHCAST, the only hockey show on the planet. Hosted by a human speed bag, fourth line wannabe, healthy scratch, schnozzy moto, Tyson Nash.
Who the hell is Tyson Nash?
Never heard of him.
And the baritone with a brain, the velvet hammer, Mr. Silky, Tono Suave, the radio voice of your Utah Mammoth,
Code Blue!
Mike Folta.
Oh, Captain, my Captain!
NASHCAST begins now.
Ready for takeoff.
Here's Tyler Ganoush and Mickey Foghorn. Wait, what? Oh, here's Tyson Nash and Mike Folta.
Feeling good, Folts. Holy, I gotta keep this panned above the belt because the Speedo is strapped on. The leather bag, I'm looking like Magda more and more every day, buddy. And I'll tell you what, I am in Belize right now, and I am still so pumped. I am watching NHL hockey. We got ESPN, we got TNT, we got everything here in Belize, and we are going to be bellied up tonight because as we tape this will be Game 7. Buffalo Sabres, Montreal Canadiens.
Yep.
Who you got, Folts? Who you got?
Neither team can grab a hold of this series, and yet neither team is going away in this series. So I don't know. It's hard for me not to think that Montreal is going to just rip the hearts out of the Sabres fans in Buffalo. But I so badly want to see the Sabres get this done on home ice. Like, imagine two great sports towns, obviously, two great hockey towns. Montreal would be on fire if the Canadiens won. Buffalo would burn to the ground. Like if the Sabres. So.
I think both towns, like Montreal is so passionate, and like obviously this is new for Buffalo, right? Like what has been 16 years since they made the playoffs, and now look at where they're at. Can you think of a better storyline, right? But I think both cities are going to absolutely crumble for whoever loses this game tonight because the passion, Montreal, I mean, all of it, right? Martin St. Louis, how he's got this team rolling, but then Buffalo, they just don't go away. Absolutely dummied the Canadiens to take it to Game 7. I can't wait. I'm going Buffalo myself, folks. I mean, I'm Albertan Canadian/Canadian. I love the Montreal Canadiens, and I love Marty St. Louis.
But don't you think Dobish is a big X factor in this? The Montreal goaltender, like he got pulled in the last game, but it seems like in the big moments he can come up and kind of steal the show, or at least steady the ship for the Canadiens before their big boys figure it out.
Right, but where's his head now? I mean, look, like last game, I mean, you got to flush it, right? I mean, momentum, I don't think, as a player, that it carries over from game to game. I mean, maybe series to series, but game to game, I think it all goes away. But I can't wait to see how he responds after getting just shellacked the other night. So it is going to be a big test. You are going to find out what you are made of as a team and as an individual. This is what playoffs is all about. Folks, we talked about it leading up as the Mammoth were getting ready for their first playoff showing in their team's history. We talked all about the playoffs, the differences between regular season and playoffs, and it has not disappointed.
Well, we got conference finals coming up. As you're listening to this, we're going to have conference finals starting up this week. So we know in the West, it's going to be Vegas and Colorado. Obviously in the East, we're waiting to see who wins Game 7 between Montreal and Buffalo. They'll take on, the winner of that will take on the Carolina Hurricanes, who have yet to lose a game in this playoffs so far. Tyson, our guest is Jason Demers from the NHL Network, former player, played 700 games in the NHL, and now is dominating the TV scene for the NHL's flagship programming. Ton of fun with Jason coming up, Tyson, because we talk about the NHL. We tell stories like this is true podcast stuff. We go everywhere with it, but we do touch on a lot of the current stuff as well.
No, he was unbelievable. So, yeah, thank you to JD. I hope you guys enjoy it. He is just a huge personality, and that's what I love, right? He was one of those guys that did it when he played and got in shit for it a lot of nights for, saying and tweeting and all the things. But we as hockey fans, that's what we want. And that's what you want on TV. You look at Paul Bissonnette, who set the table for all of us, right? He's literally the Howard Stern of hockey, and people just can't get enough of it. So JD is cut from the same cloth, doing great things for himself. His second career, his first career, though. I mean, unbelievable for a guy that was a late bloomer coming out of Quebec. All the things, ended up playing a long time in the American Hockey League, bounced around a ton. But he ended up playing over 700 games in the National Hockey League. Had a big mouth, big yapper. Never fought a lot, but man, could he play? And he played on some real good teams. Talked about it. Relationship with Joe Thornton, Jumbo, Patrick Marleau, the two guys that I know nothing about, right? And then to find out, like Joe Thornton would call guys to the mat. Like if you weren't pulling your weight, you had Jumbo right in your ear. And what are you gonna say? And what are you gonna say when Jumbo is also the guy setting the table, right? And the hardest worker on your team. That's what a good leader is all about.
There's one guy I didn't ask about that I'm mad we didn't get to, and that's Brett Burns because he's still playing. But
Yeah.
Brett Burns would have been on those San Jose teams, and he's got the like antelope farm. He's got all the weird animals and stuff like that. He's an
Snake charmer.
outdoorsman. but he's still going and still playing at a high level with Colorado and Tyson. I thought he was one of the more unsung additions of the offseason. I think they signed him for $1 million. He's making like $4 million after signing bonuses and all that. But he's part of a Colorado team that looks poised to win the cup. But they have to get by Vegas in the conference finals. How do you see the West kind of shaping up here in this semifinal round?
Yeah, and that's a great point. And Brent Burns is one of the only guys left in the league that I actually played against that is still going and still going. And he wears this backpack around. And my agent, Ron Salser, who we're going to have on the show, he has an incredible story about his life, about his parents, all the things, right? So we're going to have my agent on the show. He also represents, and his last client is Brent Burns. So he talks about this backpack he wears around, and he goes, I don't even know what's in it, but I heard there's like 40 or 50 pounds in that backpack. There's a blender in there for his protein shakes. Like this guy is crazy as it gets. So I'm fascinated by it. I want to know all about it, but I got Colorado, Folts. To your question, yeah. I got Colorado running the table. Absolutely running the table. So, and you're right, Carolina, they haven't lost yet, but I don't think they've been really tested yet, right? They are a machine. We know that. Well-oiled. They're all like robots, how they play the game. Even their skill guys play that same style, right? So they're going to be dangerous. They're going to be hard to beat, but I got Colorado going all the way. And then I got Buffalo. I got Buffalo. Okay. If they can sneak this one out tonight, which will be Game 7 as we tape this against the Canadians, I just think it's a Cinderella story.
Okay. It's two great stories, Buffalo and Montreal. We'll see who comes out on top. Colorado looking dominant. Vegas gets by Anaheim in 6. Really, Tyson, Vegas did exactly to Anaheim what they did to Utah. They trailed 2-1 in the series. At times, they looked like the Ducks could just skate around them, but Vegas did what Vegas does, and that's find a way to win. But after winning the series, Tyson, they got in a little trouble. John Tortorella did not come out for his media availability following Game 6, which you might expect from the losing coach. But the Golden Knights won the series, and Tortorella got in trouble, not for what he did say this time, but for what he didn't say. Vegas, Tortorella gets fined $100,000, which is no jump change, and they lose a second-round pick, Tyson. I mean, it's a late second-round pick because of where they are in the playoffs. It's a guy who has a dart's throw chance to make the NHL, but it's still a second-round pick.
Yeah, you know what? Here's the thing. I absolutely love Torts. He clearly had no clue the ramifications of what he was trying to do, right? And because there's some method to it, we know that everything he does is so thought out, and I personally love it. And I've talked to so many guys that have played for him that couldn't stand him when they played for him, but after, when their careers are over, later in their careers, they're like, oh my God, he was right about literally everything. This guy set the table for me, my future. He was doing what was best for me. He was teaching me a lesson that I needed as a younger player, and now I get it. right? So I love Torts, but what a mistake. Like, you just won the game. Like, what could you be upset about, or whatever your method is? Like, you just lost a second round pick. And I don't care if it's a darts throw, because those picks can be used as bargaining chips down the road for a team that needs it like no other team in the National Hockey League, because they've won for so long, right? So those picks, second, first, third round, those become like gold. And he just pissed one away. And I'm sure he got a massive pee-pee whack for that behavior, because I don't get it. To your point, if they lost, if there was a bad call, then maybe. But you just absolutely, and forget the money. I think the guy's been fined like almost close to 500 grand over his career as a coach. But I love him. I also love, I don't know if you saw John Gruden banging the drum, and he was all upset. He was calling out spitting chicklets. He wants to know what everyone's thinking about it, because he loves Torts. And obviously Gruden in the NFL world, they're very similar personalities, I think.
I think they were in Tampa Bay at the same time, early 2000s.
Yes.
I want to say, when Gruden was with the Buccaneers and Torts was with the Tampa Bay Lightning. So we had that saga unfold late last week. Just kind of hard to wrap your head around.
Whatever it is, what it is, Folts. A second round pick. A second round pick you just lost, and you just won the series. And I'll tell you what, this also makes Utah look real good, does it not? I mean, they lost to Vegas, and they took them all the way to the end almost. I mean, they battled, they gave them everything they could handle, and Vegas is still just crushing it right now. So lots to be happy about as a Utah Mammoth fan. And if you're a player, you know you're not that far away.
Yes. So talking about Utah, a few more headlines to get to before we get to our awesome conversation with Jason Demers. But wanted to mention that we do have a pre-sale now for Winter Classic tickets. So those are open to, I believe it's season ticket holders, but pretty cool to see those seats like opening up for the first time. You can get them for a couple $100. I mean, it's a marquee tentpole event. So
spend the money. Spend the money. Yeah. It will be worth every dollar if you can get a ticket. Spend the money. It will be the best money you've ever spent if you're into hockey.
We got, even if you're not, if you're into football and want to see, So we got Winter Classic tickets on sale. The Delta Center construction, those renovations have been underway. They're hammering away. Like, I can basically hear them a few blocks away. They're going right now. So it's a war zone in the Delta Center right now, but they're blowing out one end to widen the upper bowl. And then how about this? We got news about the Carconi Cup, Tyson. This is a guy who a couple years ago was saying he's probably not coming back to Utah. He signed an extension at the end of this year, and now he's hosting a Carconi Cup, a 4-team co-ed round-robin tournament with a championship and consolation game featuring teams in 8U, 10U, and 12U age divisions. Participants receive a welcome gift, game jersey, and the winning teams get championship medals. So Michael Carconi sticking around and leaning into the community.
Hey, we got to get him on the pod. That's what we're trying to do. Our great boss, Craig Amazine, he's pulling all the right punches, buttons, whatever you want to say, but we need Carconi. I want to know what he thinks of the playoffs. Forget us. I love talking to the current players, right? And who interests them, what teams, what players have shocked. I mean, these guys go through a battle all season long in the regular season. And now you're seeing things from guys like Josh Doan, right? And like Buffalo, what they're doing, Montreal. I mean, these guys, they battle so hard. So to see these guys and how exciting it is for these next steps in these next rounds and game sevens. I mean, I know they're players, but they're still hockey fans too. So good for Carconi for, giving up his time, and making something happen. It's about community. It's about bringing kids. It's about bringing families together, and that's what they have done. And Carconi continues to do it. And what a signing for Bill Armstrong. Almost let him go, but brought him back. Saw some massive growth out of Carconi, and what a year he had. This guy, I think he led the American Hockey League one year in scoring and points.
He did. Yeah.
With Tucson, with the Roadrunners. But you're not sure, right, how it translates over to the National Hockey League. And this guy can fight. He can hit. He's a perfect playoff guy. And I'll tell you what, he's a perfect guest on the NASHCAST. So let's go, Carconi. We need you.
Come on, Carks. We're waiting for you. But first, we've got Jason Demers. And It gets hot and heavy right away with JD. It's a super fun conversation. So everybody enjoy from the NHL Network, former NHL defenseman Jason Demers.
Feeling good. Holy Foltsy, do we have a guest today? Talk about mouth from the South. This guy can chirp with the best of them. Drafted 186th overall. We're going to get into it. The San Jose Sharks. This guy was a late round draft pick, ended up playing over 700 games and survived. We talked about his mouth, his lip service. He's turned it into an unreal second career in the NHL, in the media world, the NHL Network. He has a podcast Unscripted as well. JD, big boy, welcome to the show, the NASHCAST, brother.
What an intro. The mouth from the South. From Montreal, but I love it. Hey? You
Like,
thought of that one. That's a man that's in
Quebec?
Belize.
Dude, I've known you for how long? I had no idea. You are from Dorval, Quebec. I didn't know you could speak French. You're like Jeff Brown, right? He goes the whole year in Quebec with the Nordiques, and no one knows that he speaks fluent French.
No, I hit it. I think it's crazy because when I got drafted I was like 20, so I came into camp at San Jose and listen, it is what it is. It was back in the day. There was a lot of weird shit going on in terms of like French Canadians in the league. I'm sure you've seen it. Like French Canadians had like we were soft. We were told we were soft. So you came in and like you almost had to. I don't want to say I was hiding that I was French Canadian, but I was like, no, I'm English, man. Like, hey, like what's going on, everybody? Like, hey. And then like I'd be in the corner with all the Quebecers being like talking in French. Like, oh, fuck these English people. Fuck them all. Like, come on, guys. So it was kind of weird because you came in and, some of the scouts would be like, oh, yeah, where are you from? Oh, Dorval. They're like, oh, Quebec. Like, it's like hit or miss. Isn't it? Yeah, like, but like
Soft.
it was kind of like hit or miss throughout my career with like people's judgment of Quebecers of like, if you're from Quebec, you're either a dog, a beauty, one of the best, or it's like, we have too many French guys on the team. So we literally like I had to hide. And then if there's like a bad French guy in a team, I'd be like, him, not me. It's not me. I don't know him.
Jason
Oh.
Demers. It's Jason Demers.
Jason Demers. It's Demers, not Demers. It's Demers.
No accent aigu on that one. Yeah.
Yeah, no accent aigu. Exactly right.
Jason, what's the word like from back home right now with the Habs making a run here and just having a ton of fun in this series with the Sabres? Are you hearing from people back in La Belle Province?
Oh, it's pandemonium It's pandemonium right now. I've been posting this video on Twitter that somebody posted like the Habs, and it's the funniest shit. And it's like the mood of the French Canadian, and it's literally this kid.
What is that? Why do people keep posting that?
Because it's our mood right now.
What is he saying? Like, I took 5 years
He's
of French
just
in high
missing a
school.
dart.
He's saying like touching high, touching low. It's just like a old school. I don't even know. I don't want to call it like it's just like a song that would be sung in back in the days. I don't fucking know either. But
Hey,
it
where's the
sounds
dart?
great.
Where's the smoke? That's all he's missing.
Always.
But
But
how they stay so skinny.
Oh, I mean, my parents, I grew up like my grandfather, I'd go visit my grandparents and we had to watch the Habs. My dad, I grew up listening, I'd be sleeping in my bed and my dad would have the shit. My dad would have the Habs game on and the Habs radio on before he went to bed. So it'd be like 10 p.m. and he'd have the radio on next to his bed and I can hear the French call and I literally would lay on the floor and listen. He'd tell me to go to bed and I'd listen to the Habs game. So we grew up like avid Habs fans and he's elated right now. Like he thinks they can make a move. He thinks it's going to be tough against Carolina, but my dad, my brother, my niece just started playing hockey because of PWHL and all that stuff and also seeing me play. So it's but the city is fucking crazy, man. These fans, it's all they, it's the sports team that's there and it's like the only sports team. There's other ones there, but they have like they have some baseball and stuff like that, and some of the college university sports. It's pretty incredible, and Nasher can talk to this too. Like, there's no better rink when it's buzzing than Montreal. Like, I played at the SAP Center in San Jose, and it was amazing and incredible. But the Cathedral, the Centre Bell, it's Folts, it's next level. Like, you can't even hear yourself. And my brother's his wife went to the game and was like, she came back and was like, this is the most insane sound craziness I've ever seen in my life and been a part of.
I've been there.
Well, and a lot like the Delta Center, right, Folts?
Yeah.
The fans are right on top of you. That was one thing they took from the old barn to the new barn, and the Delta Center is no different.
I love how it's super steep, but we've been there twice for Utah, and I believe both times have been Saturday nights. The last 2 years, so like
the DJ gets on there.
Playoffs, but it's going pretty good, and you're getting the ole as people are walking out and stuff. It's incredible.
Oh, there's baby making music there. It's such a good atmosphere. It's such a great organization, and it's always when you see as great as American fan bases are and have embraced the sport. Like when a Canadian team is winning and is going deep, there's not a feeling like it. You just can't. You can't replicate it in any other American city. It's not a knock on any of the cities. It's just a different kind of passion. Like it's just a different, it's they bleed it. They live for it. They've been through all the ups and downs and they can't, you can't replicate that in the States.
Except Toronto. I cannot, for whatever reason, Toronto just fires me up, right? And I think because I played there, I got traded there, right? And you really see when you know guys and you're like, okay, I played with you before. Now you're playing for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Like it kind of changes them, right? Like all the attention they get, good and bad, right? It kind of changes them, as a hockey player. They think they're better and bigger than what they are. Like that's my personal takeaway from it. And what's going on in Toronto right now? I know, JD, you got your finger on the pulse, but what an absolute gong show in Toronto right now. Like John Chaika. Like, I love Matt Sundin. He was one of my favorite players, but the guy's been out of the game for how long? And he's just stepping right back in like they know what's going on. I mean, we broadcast you guys. We know how difficult it is. And if you lose a week, right? If you step away for a week, you're lost, let alone 18 years, whatever it's been for Matt Sundin. Like, I just don't get it. And anytime you fire Shane Doan, not once, but twice, you completely lost me. And now Craig Berube. The guy's won a Stanley Cup, but he's the problem. Like, and I get it, right? This is John Chaika's team, right? He's now the new GM and all that stuff. You want to bring in your guys, but it's tough for me to watch, right? When you see a guy like Craig Berube get snipped.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of the, I don't want to say it's like the old school versus the new school, and there's always a little bit of personal attachment, to the Craig Berubes. And listen, the donor side of it, I think I reached out to Donor and was like, I hope John reached out to him before, he left Toronto. He's going to let his contract play out to let him know and, make amends in a sense. I don't know how it ended in Phoenix. Listen, when I got brought
Not
into
good.
Phoenix, Donor was kind of already gone. So like in my mind, when people ask me about John Chaika, like he brought me in, you were around before that Hall trade, we were first in the Pacific that year. We're actually trending in the right direction. So the job that was done, I talked to a couple of guys that we played with too. And I was like, what did you kind of make of it? I'm like, did I have the blinders on? And they're like, listen, like did some good things, made some mistakes. I think the mistakes that he made in terms of what he did with Shane Doan, I don't think that was right. 100%. I agree with that. But in my mind, I'm like, at 26 years old,
yeah,
I was peeling myself off the floor of the bar trying to get to practice in the morning, let alone running a franchise. So I give a little bit of, I want to say grace, but I'm like, hey, this was maybe he just had a level of confidence and arrogance to him that he made some big mistakes. And then now I just hope he rectified it. You kind of see it with the Matt Sundin being by his side, but I agree with you. Like, has Matt Sundin been, like, you got to watch hockey. Like, you got to be part of it. Like I'm like doing what I do and Nash, you're doing what you do. And even you, Folts, like, and you got to watch the game. Like, you can't just mail it in. Like, this is a job. Like, you can't just sit there and be like, oh, like when you're covering another team, like you got to research the other team. You can't just come in and be like, oh yeah, this is I played and I'm great at what I do, or I played in the NHL, so it's like riding a bike. I know what's good and what's not good. It's like no, there's so many intricacies to being in this industry and being in sports, and you got to give it kind of the respect it deserves. So I know Mats was doing like radio for Swedish TV or something like that during the Olympics, and I saw him around. He had his kind of caravan, and like again, he was Mr. Toronto for a while. He also didn't the way it ended with him was a little bit weird when he ended up going to like Vancouver, signing in Vancouver, and he didn't nix the trade in Toronto. I don't know. There's some weird things that went around, but I hope that John learned from his mistakes. I think I couldn't imagine a world in which Craig Berube was going to stay.
Yeah.
I just, as much as Craig's got, just that he's got that pedigree and that winning pedigree. He's such a great coach. I can't imagine John coming in.
But isn't it crazy, you guys? Like, think of that. The guy had, $9 million left on his contract. Same with Knobloch in Edmonton. Like, these guys are just shooing him away like it's no big deal. It's not even 9 million. It's now 9 million plus whatever the new coach is going to be paid, right? I mean, here's a mistake. Here's a new GM, and you're just all of a sudden cleaning house, and it's like 9 million, like it's $1, right? Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, it makes no sense. It's funny because when it doesn't count against the cap, it's a different story. Because when you look at the players, they're like, no, like we're buying you out at 70%. See you later. Kick rocks. You can't. But it's like I feel like coaching right now is in such a weird point. It's like it is kind of like that transition from old school to new school because the players are so different now than they were 5-10 years ago, and they're just so much different in terms of mentality and also the way they play. It's a different game than it was 5 years ago. So much more skilled, so much more high speed, but also like fragile in the sense of like mentally you have a lot of guys that need a lot of work. So the old school style is kind of like working itself out, but it's also coming back. It's a weird, I feel like we're in this weird transition in coaching, and you see the guys that are successful like the Marty St. Louis and the John Cooper, still Dan Muse, these kind of new guys that come in and push the right buttons. Talk came in and I think fixed some things that was maybe missing in Arizona and Vancouver in terms of the way he coaches, and you can kind of see the response from guys. So, but it's different times, and I think ownership. I don't know if they're maybe following the lead. Nasher, this being out it kind of that way, and we know Vegas fairly well, but like. Vegas has that like cutthroat mentality of like it's just business.
Yeah.
And I feel like everybody in the league now is starting to like kind of follow that a little bit. And it's like it's just business. You're not working. See you later. Get the fuck out.
We're recording this right after Chris Knobloch had been let go by the Edmonton Oilers. So now you've got a couple openings. It sounded like the LA Kings have been trying to talk to Bruce Cassidy. What do you make of the jobs that are open right now in terms of what's more attractive? It feels like Cassidy is the big name that people are after, hearing that Edmonton and LA were trying to talk to him. But like, what's the more attractive job, like Toronto or Edmonton right now? Because they're both
Edmonton,
very flawed locations, but both very interesting.
What about Pete Laviolette too? He's got to be in the mix.
He's kicking around, man. The Edmonton situation makes me more worried than Toronto, weirdly enough.
Wow.
Because Toronto knows they're not contending, and everybody knows. You know what I mean?
How can they not be contending though?
Like they should be going after it, but because of, again, I think the one mistake. As much as I love Canadian teams, the biggest issue is that they overvalue players and they overvalue the rosters.
Yes.
And they think and that's causes them to make mistakes because the guys at the top think, oh, we have the greatest team alive. I think Edmonton is a 10 times better team than Toronto. So for me, I'm like, I think John's going to have a lot of work cut out for him to get this team, especially the decor and goaltending. Their goaltending was injured all year. When they're healthy, they're good. Their back end's aging. They got to find either a replacement or a place to put Morgan Riley. I know he wants to stay. But, and then up front, what does Austin want to do? You have the first overall pick, but does Austin want to stay now with Chaika being there? And I don't know if there's a little bit of an Arizona connection, but the problem for me is like, at least they kind of know, like we all kind of know. Edmonton, they had their meeting, Stan Bowman had his call after firing Knobloch, and he said, we have a good team. And I was like, what?
Oh, no.
You got dog walked by Anaheim, who just got dog walked by Vegas. You could not be further away.
And we're not making a lot of personnel changes. I'm like, you better watch your job.
Listen to that,
buddy.
and I was like,
I would show him the door so fast. See you later, buddy. Like your two best players in the world just called you out to the mat, and that's what you come up with. Ooh.
And that's the biggest issue is like you have Connor and Leon did something that you don't often see is they were very honest, candid with themselves, the team. You don't see that often. And ownership and management and coaching. What's the fucking thing that they do? They just kick Knobloch to the curb and Bowman goes, and then Bowman and the management staff. And again, Edmonton gave me my 700th game. I'm so grateful for them. Listen, I grinded in the minors that year for that. I played through 2 concussions, a high ankle sprain to get that game. So again, it's not like it was handed to me as a gift. Like it was worked for. So, but completely respect what they did and giving me an opportunity to try to get back in the league. But it's also like to the fans, I'm like, it's frustrating for me to watch because your 2 best players come out and they give this I would, if I'm in that locker room and in management, I'm like, fucking right. It's like, we got Connor and Leon they want it. They want it bad. Like, let's do right by them. Let's bring them into the process. No, they get caught a week later trying to schmooze Bruce Cassidy behind the scenes. It's like, do you not think Vegas was not going to leak that? Or do you know what I mean? I'm sitting there and I'm like, a week after like a great speech, everybody's on the same page. You go and you fucking trip over yourself again. And then in the media scrum afterwards, after you have to fire Knobloch because you're screwed now, your back's against the wall. Then you say, yeah, but I like our team and actually, the players aren't going to be involved in picking the next coach because they don't have the depth of knowledge of being able to pick a coach.
Have a hand in Knobloch being there? Like that, there was
that's what I mean.
There,
I'm like,
right?
what are we doing right now? I'm like,
and is it the coach? Like, we've both played. It's not the coach, it's the players. Like, friggin' take a look at yourselves in the mirror. Both those teams, right? That we're talking to. Every team. When you lose a coach, you better take a good long look in the mirror because it ain't the coach.
But you look 2 years ago to that team. I mean, look at the players that they lost. I know they left because they couldn't afford them, but you lose Connor Brown, you lose Broberg, you lose Holloway, you lose all these guys that Warren
Corey Perry. That's
Fogle,
the GM. That's the GM to me.
Yeah, that's it. There's no accountability above. So you're like, it's easy to fire the coach.
Let's fire the coach.
It's easy. Yeah, we'll get rid of him and maybe we'll bring. And then you're trying to bring in Bruce, and it's like, well, you can't do that, buddy. He's on contract. So I'm like,
and you'll have to pay him for $5 million. So now it's really costing you $14 to $15 million to get rid of your coach. It's insanity to me.
Yeah.
Anyway, Anyway, JD, you were there day one in Utah with the NHL Network, absolutely crushing it in Utah, watching this whole thing unfold. Could you have believed it was going to turn out this good in Utah?
We're getting to Utah now. Yes, because we, as the Arizona Coyotes, laid the foundation. It was all me. And it was all you, Nasher. It was all of us in the Coyotes faithful that laid this groundwork. And if it wasn't for, the good fortune of Marleau being god-awful, that this allowed for this franchise, Utah, and what Ryan Smith and his wife have done is absolutely incredible. Because again, I can say what I want. We laid the foundation, but once you nut up and you put your money on the line and you bring this team there, you have to make it work. And they've done everything I've heard from there, from you, from the players, from training staff. Like, it is A++. It is incredible. They're going to start attracting some great free agents and things like that because the way you treat the players and the staff, it goes a long way in the league and it gets around. And Utah's, I think Salt Lake's a very, sneaky city and the fan base has embraced it. So like, to me, I'm like, I'm happy because a lot of those guys that I played with and kind of, I don't want to say suffered with in Arizona because we did live in a great place. It was a great city. The fan base was great to us. And, it was more ownership, us fighting against that and pulling on that rope, trying to get them to invest in us and things like that. But, I can't be mad because, the Kellers, the Schmaltzes, the Krauses, the Barrett Haytons, the guys that I saw as young kids, they're getting to experience playoff hockey, experience a culture shift in terms of an organization. So to me, I'm like, I'm all for it. I still believe in my heart Arizona's going to get a team back, but for now, this team's in good hands in Utah with Ryan Smith, and it was so much fun to watch them against Vegas in the first round. And if it wasn't for a couple bounces, I think it could have went the other way. But it's great experience for that group and that city. And I mean, they set the bar pretty dang high the last 2 years, so they got to keep elevating it. As
That's
you know,
the standard now, baby. That's the standard. The clock has begun.
You mentioned some of the guys you played with in Arizona who are now with the Utah Mammoth, Keller, Schmaltz, Hayton, Kraus, those guys. How about Clayton Keller? He's a guy who now is perennially pushing 90 points, if not hitting that mark. What did you see out of him as a much younger player when you guys were playing together, around those COVID years and he was coming into the league? And is that a guy who you looked at and could see him where he is now?
Yeah, another John Chaika signing at a really good price. When you think about it, the deal they signed him to, and it worked out well. I have a soft spot for Clayton. He took some flack early in his career, I think, from a lot of people in the media and outside, and even coaching staff stuff. And I always saw the want and the need, how badly he wants it. He's a hockey nerd, lives at the rink, breathes it. And he's such a great kid, man. And I still call him a kid, even though I saw him the other day in Phoenix, and I was like, God, you're a goddamn grown man now, but I'm still calling you kid. I'm like, look at your shoulder. You got some delts on you now. You're a big boy. I'm like, you're just a little scrawny, little shit when he started. But, he's the work he does and his dedication to the game. And, I always kind of go back to, we were in practice one day and he was kind of like playing with some stuff. We were doing a 3-on-2 drill, and I kept kind of aggressively closing on him and because that's the way we played, and we were just really good. We had a great decor, and it would frustrate the shit out of our forward groups, but I thought we made them better. But we got to this play, and he, after practice, he goes, hey, can you come here? He goes, when you're coming out at me, if I do this, does this back you off? And I was like, yeah, a little bit. Like, it feels like, I feel like, oh, you might be cutting in, so it might buy you a little bit of time. And I'll never forget it because I watched him the next 3-on-2. He did it. He backed me. I forgot he had asked me a couple weeks later, and he backed me off, made a little slip pass. They scored. And then I saw him do it in the games, and I still do it. Like the way he goes in and out of traffic to buy time, and he kind of takes a step in, backs out. A little bit like Joe Thornton did back in the day, but I'm not, comparing him to Jumbo Joe just yet. But just the way that Joe would he would invite a little bit of pressure, and then he'd kind of pump fake you and back off and buy himself some time, make that little pass. So, things like that he did, and like I said, I'm so fond of him and what he brings to a team and just how good of a person he is. So, yeah, he's one I always root for. But it's like those little things that, those are the intangibles about certain players when you can think the game, the IQ side of it, that, you look at a guy and you're like, okay, this guy's he's going to find his way in this league because he's thinking of shit that, I was like, see puck, hit guy, dump puck.
Caveman.
Yeah.
Caveman.
What'd you say, coach? Dump it out. Yeah, got it. He's kind of like a little bit more analytical with it. So those are just the reasons. And I think, listen, even going to the playoffs, I don't think he was great to start those playoffs, but I think he, as the series went on, he got better, and that's just him. He downloads information, and he kind of learns, and he learns to kind of flow within the current and I'd say like the rocky waters. He just finds a way to kind of go through that, and it takes. So I think it was just a great learning experience for him as well, because the last kind of playoff experience he got was in the bubble when there wasn't even fans. We had a recording of fans cheering. and it was in Edmonton, so I don't really consider that.
It was just me
playoffs because
cheering.
we beat
It was just
Nashville,
me.
motherfuckers, but it was great. But yeah, but it was a
Isn't
super
that
cheer.
crazy though? I love that you brought that up because I think as broadcasters we use hockey sense like way too much. First of all, second of all, physicality. Like that is my least favorite word. I cannot stand that word. That is my biggest pet peeve. But as broadcasters, we're always like hockey sense, hockey sense. But when you dumb it down, that's what it's about, right? I mean, Martin St. Louis said the same thing to me. I'm like, can you work on your hockey sense? He's like, absolutely, you can work on it. It's called anticipation. It starts in practice. Before I get a puck from a D-man, I know who's around me. That's called hockey sense. And to your point, Clayton Keller now goes to you as a defenseman. He goes to the goaltenders and goes, okay, where is it easier for me to shoot and score, right? Stuff that me and you never did, but I find it fascinating. But anyway, JD, thank you for that. But I got to ask you, you're drafted 186 overall in your career. You are a damn good player, man. A little bit of a late bloomer, maybe, I would say. But like, were you pissed or were you just excited? Because I know when I went like 225th overall, I was so freaking pissed off. I was going to shove it up everyone's ass. Every single player who got drafted ahead of me was getting it.
Yeah, I always tell the story to people is that, I got drafted 186 when I was 20. So I missed two draft years. So I like in a
Salt
weird
on the wound. Sorry.
Oh yeah, like I had like my transcript written out to go to college. I was like, well, this is it. Like, fuck whatever. I was like, I'm gonna go to college and I'd played junior, so I couldn't go to college in the States. So I was like, I'm gonna go in Canada and this is it. Like, I'm just gonna play and maybe go to Europe or we'll figure something out. And I was like my 19-year-old year in junior. And that summer, San Jose was like, hey, why don't you come to our rookie tournament? And I was like, yeah, okay, I'll come. I had Gilles Cote was a scout that always watched me in Victoriaville. And we had we had 2 years of a bad team. We were like last in the league or something like that. And we had one good year. My 18-year-old, we had a good year, but I didn't play much. And he's like, hey, why don't you come out? I went out to the camp, had a great camp. They were like, oh, we'll keep an eye on you. And I didn't think anything of it. I was like, all right. So that year is my 19 year. I ended up, late bloomer. I was 19. I won the scoring title for defenseman that year in the Q. And I was like, oh, well, I was like, it went well. I didn't hear anything all season long. And then it was like, I was watching the draft for a friend of mine who was getting drafted. And it was like, my dad had the Dell computer where, dial up where we basically were hitting refresh to see the names pop up each time. And we got to the 7th round and all of a sudden it was like, I think it was like the 182nd pick and it's San Jose and it goes on. My dad refreshes and it goes Jay Demers. So my dad falls out of the chair and he goes, what the fuck? You got drafted? What the fuck? And I'm like, we're running around. We find out that it's actually Julian Demers from the Ottawa 67s. And as funny, you want to talk about like complete opposite, and who knows if I'll get buried for this, but he was a left-handed defenseman and he was black. So it was on top of that, we were completely like, you could not have a different person that was Jay Demers on that thing. And I'm like, holy shit, like my brother. And we're on San Jose. I was like, we're destined to be I was like, this is incredible. Like, I'm like, holy shit. So in that moment, I was like, well, this is never happening. This is a sign that I'm done. And then I got a phone call 20 minutes later and they're like, hey, it's the Sharks. We're going to draft you 186. And I was like, what? And I had like one conversation where my agent had told me like, hey, there might be some people interested with you. And I was like, great. And so I ended up going to the Sharks, and then I run into Julian Demers, a fantastic guy, great, good little defenseman, defensive defenseman too. And I was coming in as offensive, and I was like, we got to be D partners, man. This would be the coolest thing ever. Jay Demers coming down the line, just kicking the shit out of people. But he ended
Unbelievable.
yeah. And then I made the AHL that year. So I came in and then they sent me to Worcester. So I played the whole year in the A. But it was like, it was probably within 2 months. I was like, I'm going to university I'm playing in, or I'm in San Jose during training camp. And I had a really good training camp. I played like eight 8 preseason games. Like they kept me to the very end. So I'm in the NHL playing in San Jose, and I'm like, what's going on right now? I was like, call my mom and dad. I was like, this is weird. So it was just that fast. So I still think back to it, and I was like, it's crazy, and to just always be ready. That's what I tell if I talk to young guys, like just be ready because you never know
I'm going down
when it's coming.
I'm going down Hockey DB on that Worcester Sharks team in 08-09.
I played in Worcester too,
on
Folts.
that team.
Oh my God.
We had Claude the Bod was making his comeback. Fucking roided out. Just never seen an old man that jacked in my life.
Claude Lemieux.
Oh, he came. Well, that was the year. That was 09. That's the JR in San Jose, 08-09, when they lost to Anaheim in the first round, and it was like a big thing. It was a big deal because we were in Worcester watching, and Claude came in to make a comeback, and he ended up he came for like how many games was he down there for? It felt like it wasn't super long.
Yeah, it's like 23 or something like
20,
that.
yeah.
Wow.
And
that's like a lifetime in Worcester.
Oh yeah, I was in the Woo, and for Claude,
I played there too. Oh my God,
Claude. Oh, he found like this, and Claude was great because he came in and had a big speech of like being like, I'm making a comeback, chasing out a dream, and he was great. He was really good to the guys. So funny at the end of practice. At the end of any practice, he'd take his helmet off and put on the bench, and he'd just go down the like flank and take Clapper's top shelf, and he'd just sit there and he'd do like 10 of them with just sweating, but he'd just leave his helmet off and go crank just absolute Clappers. And I remember Brendan Lemieux was in our room and it was around that whole time. He was just a kid. Like that whole time he was there. I'll never forget. He was literally just kicking around the locker room with us all the time, just hanging out. And then I saw him in the NHL one day, and in like I think we got into like a scrum. He's like, "Hey JD," I'm like, "Brendan, it's you? You're huge."
Yeah,
it's jacked. So yeah, he was great. He was really good. It was a fun group. We had a veteran group like Patrick Traverse, Kyle McLaren was there.
Oh wow.
Like just such a Ryan Vesey. We had so many guys that were there that were just some good veteran guys. Brendan Buckley was like a all timer in the AHL. It was great. It was a great group.
But then you're jumping into the NHL the next year with a pretty legendary, or at least a list of names with the Sharks that are pretty legendary. Like you can go down. It's Marleau. It's Thornton. Joe Pavelski's there. Rob Blake was there your rookie year. Like, what was it like walking into that room?
That was, I pinch myself to like have been lucky to get in that room, and you go in this locker room. Rob Blake's, I played power play with Rob Blake for like large parts of that year. Like he was my D partner on the power play. He played with Vlasic. I played with Ken Huskins, and it was I had such an amazing like otherworldly start. Like my first 25 games, where I was like, fuck, I'm the best team. Like I'm like, fuck all
I'm winning
you.
the North.
Dude, I think I went, and
Rob Blake,
I tell people this is a joke, like to talk about like never getting too big for your britches in the league, because like the league will always humble you. Like I think I had like 10 points in my first 12 games. I didn't give up, like it's some weird stat. Me and Ken Huskins like didn't give up a goal against for like 25 games. We were like, I was playing minutes, you're like people in the crowd, JD, I'm like, I'm fucking, this is unbelievable. And then I started making a couple turnovers for goals against, started turning pucks over, game 35, sent down to the minors for a nice 3 months, and just fucking ripping my heart out. And it's just like, you get to that point where you just, it's hard to make the NHL. It's even harder to stay there. And it's, I always tell young guys, like, you got to constantly get better, and you just got to keep improving your game. And I just, I got so comfortable so fast, and we had such a great team, and we were winning so much that, even when I was making mistakes, I had this group of guys that I was fine, but then, we'd lose a couple, and, I'm at the forefront of it, even though we're fucking 25-2-3. Every loss, that's what I learned too, is like every loss was like Armageddon. Like it was a war in practice. It was a war on the bench. I got hardened as a player almost too much as a young kid. I got, those guys would say anything to you during a game and in practice if you weren't like dialed in. Like fucking wake the fuck like staring at
which
you
guys? Like, because I know I play with Prongs
Jumbo.
and Jumbo, really?
Jumbo is one of the hardest human beings on players and I'd tell anybody that. He is the biggest competitor and he's one of the hardest teammates like on guys ever. And I think he got better as he got older, but and sometimes it would cross the line. And I love Jumbo, and I'd tell him this is his face, but Jumbo would say those things, but work 10 times harder than anybody. And that was the other thing I always told people is like, I worked out with him for a summer. Like that guy is a freak. Like he just every day does not stop. Was skating 6 times a week, working out 7 times a week in the summer. Like that, there's a reason that guy was that good, but he demanded like a lot from you. And if you weren't good as a young guy, like I'd miss a pass in first shift of the game and not ready, don't play him, not ready. And I'm sitting there, come on, Joe,
I'm
I
right
love
here,
you.
Jumbo. I'm
Jumbo,
right here.
I love you. I love you. Can I get your autograph? But it just taught me a lot, and I'm grateful for that because he kept me in the league in some respects because I learned why when I got sent down why he was so hard on me. He's like, don't let this slip. And I had Patty was another one that was really hard on me. I always tell this story, and sorry if I'm going long, just cut me off.
Love it.
I'm one of the only guys that got sent from the NHL to the East Coast Hockey League without going to the AHL. I went straight because they were trying to, this was back in the day when they were trying to, I want to say like on paper, save money. And like, so you'd get sent down for the day, get called back up and things like that. And they'd save cause we were tight to the cap, and the Sharks created a partnership with the Stockton Thunder in the East Coast because sending me to Worcester for the day was too much and like too hard. Cause I did about like 20 to 25 cross country flights that year, like 24-hour flights, like on red eyes. And, they sent me, so I had to drive with, and Ryan Stenner, who's still there in San Jose. We always talk about it. Every time I see him, he goes, Stockton. I say, yeah, man. And they said, we got to, we're going to send you down because you're not going to play this week. And I'm like, oh, man, I'm going to Worcester. They're like, we're sending you to Stockton. So you're going to go practice with the East Coast team. You're not going to play. You're going to go practice. So I had to drive an hour and a half every morning to go from San Jose to Stockton. Have you been to Stockton? That is one greasy city.
Isn't that where that one biker movie was filmed?
Oh yeah, the week I was there, our massage therapist wasn't there because she got stabbed.
Oh,
it was like in the
God,
hospital.
what?
And they were like, I swear to God, she came in like the last day, and all the guys were like, "Where the fuck were you?" And she's like, "I got stabbed. I was in the hospital." And they're like, "What?"
Holy
And I'm like,
jeez.
"Are you kidding me?" So we're like there. So I'm trying to get a rub down, and I'm like, I can't get anything. So we went in practice, and like, I got to practice, and you're practicing with Joe Thornton and Patty Marleau, then you're going to the East Coast and practicing. So it's like, it is just the craziest thing. So I practiced for the week, and I'm like, I'm in there for the week, and one of the nights I'm like, I'm a young kid, I'm 21, I'm like, and I think I'm making some scratch, and I'm like, I'm gonna take the boys out. So I take the guys out for the night, and I'm watching the Sharks game on the TV, and the guys are losing, and I'm like, oh man, I like might get called up. So I'm like, I gotta get out of here. So I'm like, so I like go, hey guys, like, hey, so we have the night. I go back to the hotel, and the hotel's like downtown, and I show up to the hotel, and I go to open the door, and the door won't open, and I'm like on the middle of the downtown Stockton. So I'm like not banging on the glass, and the guy looks, the guy that stays in whoever's watching the lobby, and he looks at me, he goes, put up your key card. Are you staying here? And I'm like, yeah, let me in. And he like sprints and opens the door. He's like, get in. And I'm like, what's going on? He's like, what the fuck are you doing out on the street this late at night? And I'm like, what are you talking about? This is like a Radisson. He's like, you can get killed. I'm like, what? So I get in, and then I get called up the next day to San Jose to play because they lost. And I get called up and we're playing the Detroit Red Wings the next game. And I've been skating with East Coast Hockey League, no practices in the NHL. What the fuck do you think happens in that game? I get absolutely worked over. I get like pickpocketed 3 times. I'm like -3 against, we're playing like the big bad Red Wings that year, Lindstrom and everybody. And and I come into practice next day and I'm like, well, this is it. I'm done. And this is the long story to the crux of it is I'm waiting. You know how it is, Nasher. You're waiting to get them to call you in the office to send you down. And then they bring you on the ice for practice and you're like, well, I'm getting sent down halfway through practice. So you're kind of like every pass, you keep looking up, where's the GM? Where's the GM? And you're like, where's the coach? Every coach that comes talk to you, you're like kind of, you're staying away from everybody.
them.
Yeah, you're like, give me one more day's pay. And then the practice.
See, I was older, JD. I was older, so we didn't have cell phones. So the hotel phone, I'm like, don't answer that. Don't answer that ever. Like, because we had roommates, right? I'm like, I need one more day's pay.
Yeah, so I'll hide in the office and practice ends in nothing. So I'm like, oh, wow. And then Patty Marleau goes, hey, come here. It was Patrick Marleau. And, he was always great with me. But he'd never, ever yelled at me or said anything to me ever. And that was the only time he's ever in his career yelled at me. And he pulled me aside and he goes, the only reason you're here is he goes like, I know you can help our team win. He goes, if you ever fucking play like that again, he goes, I'm going to send you down myself. And I went, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, that is awesome.
I like Patty Marleau. So I'm like, thank you, sir. The
nicest guy.
Yeah. And so it was like, it helped me. Like I said, it kept me in the league, those guys, just the way they were and as hard as they were on me. But yeah, all that for the stock.
You were just happy to be alive at that point, right? I mean,
I was dodging bullets.
But isn't that like that? I think that's so important, and people don't get it unless you get it, right? And the alumni is so important, and guys before you are so important because they set the foundation for your team. And I go back to the St. Louis Blues. Because in Arizona, it was kind of there. It was Shane Doan, right? It was Keith Tkachuk a little bit. It was Jeremy Roenick a little bit. But in St. Louis, it was Chris Pronger. It was Al McInnes. It was Bobby Plager. It was Kelly Chase. I mean, you had to be a Blue through and through or you're going to be called to the mat, right? And I think that's so invaluable ultimately. And in San Jose, Celebrini, we got to touch on. This is my last question for you before I let you go, JD. But how good is this freaking kid? I mean, isn't he staying or is he living at Marleau's or Thornton's house?
He's at Jumbo's, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he owns Jumbo's house now, probably at this point after this year.
Did he break his record?
He did, yeah. He broke his record too. You can't say the word generational enough around him. It comes along every 3 to 5 years, maybe even longer than that. But you get a guy that kind of changes the way the league's played and becomes this exceptional player, and he is just that. And and such a great kid too. Another guy that just wants to learn, just wants to be a student of the game. But man, the motor on him, it's so funny because I'd say on the network, and everybody goes like, would show clips of Celebrini and being like, and I know every fucking shill skills coach out there on Instagram's like, showing videos of this is the way to do it. And I'm like, if you're teaching your kid to play like Macklin Celebrini or one of these generational guys, number one, you're doing a disservice to your kid. But number two, you're missing the fact that the work ethic is what separates Macklin Celebrini. It's not the fucking skill. Like, the skill is the skill. And again, it's next level, but his work ethic is absolutely insane. And I would put this in front. I'd put this in front of a kid and be like, oh yeah, you want to be Macklin Celebrini? Can you work this hard every single game for a whole season? And if you can, you might have a shot. But if you can't, don't compare yourself to Macklin Celebrini because the motor he has on him, it's insane, man. Like, he doesn't want to take days off. He'll practice. They have to like force him to take optionals. He's playing, 20 minutes a game and more. He played in the Olympics. Now he goes to the World Championships. Like, the kid's trying to to set a bar. The only thing I worry with him is it's kind of like with Sasha Barkov. Barkov was like that when he started. So I was with him in Florida. You couldn't get him out of the gym to the point where he like hurt himself because he was working out too much. But I know his dad, Rick Celebrini, is like a guru with working out. Mike Potenza's there in San Jose. He's a great strength coach as well. So he's set, but like again, the motor, the work ethic is really second to none. You can't outwork him. And it's like that is the biggest thing for kids to realize and fans when you're looking at him. It's not the skill, which is amazing, the release, amazing, but the work ethic. That's the rest of that stuff is kind of gifted to you. Those skill plays and that vision, you get a little bit of that gift. You have to hone it, but the work ethic can't be given to you. You got to earn it, and fuck, he earns it, and it's that's why he's that good. And I expect him to have another 100-point season next year too, easily.
Scary.
Jason, this has been awesome. My last one is kind of along those lines, but with the rise of Celebrini and the Sharks, and now the Ducks making it 2 rounds deep into the playoffs, and Utah, a team that is also young and has broken through into the postseason. How do you see the Western Conference shaping up, and maybe even the Central Division specifically? Because you got a lot of teams that all think they're right there, and there's really only maybe 1 or 2 teams, you think of Vancouver, Calgary, that you could put in that rebuilding category. Everybody else thinks they can be a playoff team. Just looking at next
Edmonton.
year.
Edmonton in the rebuilding categories. They don't figure it out, it's going to happen soon.
Oh, just get a goalie, please.
Just please.
God.
Yeah, it's you know what? It's interesting because I can't see Colorado not being good for the next few years. Dallas is going to be an interesting offseason for them, I think, more than anybody, because they got the Robertson. They got to decide what to do. And again, they've fallen short in the playoffs. They're missing something, and maybe it's just that they're in that stacked division. But honestly, like I loved where Utah was. I think 4th place in the Central is kind of the honey hole because you kind of sneak into one of those wild card spots and you can sometimes finagle your path. But I think they got, as much as I wanted to shit on Bill Armstrong for, the way he handled me and some other guys in Arizona. He's done, and I talked to some guys in Arizona, and we kind of all said the same thing. He's done a good job. You got to put in my sword aside. And I think I saw him in New York this year, and he came by and said hi. And I said, hey, listen, man, I can call it when I see it. Personal stuff aside of how shit ended for me, I was like, he's done a great job. What he's done with those draft picks, and he took a swing this year too, which was something he hadn't done, bringing in Mackenzie Weegar. I thought it was a great move by him. I think there needs to be a huge address. They need to find a center, and they need to find, I think, the center position is going to be big, and I still think their decor needs maybe one more piece. I just still think there's just something missing. It was good, but I thought at times, especially during the playoffs, the best defense was Nate Schmidt, and nothing against Schmitty and those guys in Marino, but I think your top guys like Sergei had some good moments, but I think there needs to be just one more guy. But to me, up front, it's and Nasher, it's going to be a centerman. If you can, and I know it's tough to get. There's not much out there in free agency. You're gonna have to make a splash. So
Yeah.
maybe Austin. Who knows?
Well, you look at Mini, right? I mean, if you
Everybody
want to
needs a
Jack
top
Hughes,
center.
you have to do it. You
Yeah.
have to give away big time stuff, and we have.
Dude.
That's the beauty of it. We do.
We
The shelves are stocked.
We talk about it at the network, and I'm not trying to start a rumor mill, but like, you guys got what Toronto needs for AMAX.
Yes, we do.
we were saying yesterday.
Sell it, brother.
Can you imagine? You got Austin, Schmaltzy, Cooley, Stenlin, Hayton as there's your, and depending what they decide to do with my boy Barrett, but just that 4 down the pipe, that is a fucking stacked.
Gross.
And you can, without giving up any of those guys, you don't have to give up a Gunther, might be a pick, might be a younger guy and some picks, but it's kind of there. It's there for them to make a splash for a center position. So I wouldn't be surprised if even they're on Trocheck, if they're on some guys. So
Yeah.
we'll see with them. But yeah, the West, The West is interesting. It really is, because San Jose's got some stuff to do this offseason. They're on a mission to rebuild the decor and get and even get and they're going to get another good top 3 pick, which I think is going to be interesting if they go a D-man route or if they go with Stenberg, depending on what Toronto does. But it might be tempting to take Stenberg, who's like ready to go now, and he's probably my favorite player in the draft. But there's some really good D available too. So, but I'll see. We're going to see what they can do. And then through there, it's Vegas is going to stay where they're at. I think it's
just when you always think they're going to take a step back, right? And
they
they're like,
won't.
they're
going to keep shooting from the hip. I think because they're just such an attractive place to come. So I think it's going to be them. Anaheim, I think I didn't have them going this far in the playoffs at all. Like, I had Edmonton winning round 1. So to me, I think it was great experience for them. They got some budding stars. So yeah, but it's like, that's the Pacific for me in a nutshell. And then, the Central's it's a absolute gauntlet. It's a gauntlet. The Central's the reason they need to go to 1-8 format. It's the reason, because
Utah had a better draw than Colorado this year.
That's what I mean. It's like, it makes no sense. It's like, that shouldn't be the case. So, but yeah, it's going to be very fun to watch the West unfold. I think for me, the 2 teams to watch the most is going to be Dallas. I love Dallas. I mean, Utah, because I'm on the NASHCAST and
baby.
Yeah, Utah, baby. I like Utah and Dallas for me are 2 that I'm watching, because I think the Pacific still got a ways to go, but the Central's going to be a battle for supremacy.
Well, thanks, buddy. I know you probably got a couple shows tonight on NHL Network. You're always, spreading the love around. Spreading the love, buddy. But thanks for coming on, as always, my man.
Great job. Love watching you
Jason.
guys. Keep it rolling. Thanks, Foltsy.
Holy, was that good? That was so good. Jason Demers. I absolutely love the guy. And if you haven't golfed with him, I mean, this guy is an absolute beauty. I thought I chirped a lot. My ears are bleeding at the end of any time you spend with Jason Demers, which I love, because his stories are great, as you guys just heard on the podcast. And he lets it fly. He is not afraid to let it fly. Just an unreal human being. What a player, over 700 games in the National Hockey League. And we appreciate you for spending some time. I mean, we talked for a good, I don't know what we're going to edit or what ended up getting edited, but we were over an hour on that pod, and we could have gone for 2 or 3 nonstop. And the cocktails weren't even flowing. So that's how good of a dude he is.
He can play hockey. He can play golf. Apparently, he's good looking. He could probably play instruments and stuff too. Like, just some guys have it all, right? Some guys have it all. But thanks to Jason Demers, you can see why they have him on the NHL Network and all that. But thanks again to him. Ton of fun talking current stuff, talking stories. That's what this show's about, right, Nasher? So
yeah, it is.
That's what it's about.
It is. And here's another thing for all you guys listening. I mean, you guys have access to our Instagram, DMs, all of it. Reach out to us. Who do you guys want to hear from? Like, that's one of my biggest, I guess, dilemmas is, I don't know who would be a great guest. Who do people want to hear from? Right. So if there's maybe a sneaky guy out there with some great stories that you've heard of, or heard the stories themselves, tell us, let us know, because we'll reach out to whoever you guys want. We're here for the people. Right. We just want to satisfy. That's our gig. So
we're getting your agent. How about your travel agent? We could see what third world country is going to send you to next.
I know. This play, I'm telling you what, if you haven't been to Belize, you gotta go. It is such an eye opener, right? I brought my kids. It's my mother-in-law's 80th birthday. She's 90 Canadian, 80 US with the exchange rate. But it's like you literally walk out the front door and like everyone is smiling and happy, and they're riding their broken down bikes, and they're living in these huts, and like there's no AC, but they are the happiest people on the universe, right? So it was such a great wake up call for everybody, for me included, just to appreciate and be thankful and grateful for all we have in America. And I'll tell you what, it's absolutely stunningly beautiful. It's an hour and 50 minutes from Dallas. So come check it out. Come check it out if you love fun in the sun. Yesterday, Folts, I swam with the sharks, dude. I swam with sharks. It was absolutely nuts. I needed to change my swim trunks because I filled them pretty quick because I jumped in and I was like, oh my God, these are real
In the
sharks.
ocean or like in a tank?
No, in the ocean. It was unbelievable. But they don't eat humans apparently. But these things were huge. They were like 8-10 feet. And I jumped in with about 20 of them around me. I'm like,
nope.
We got pictures. They'll be coming.
Nope.
It was nuts. And the scariest part was my kids were in there with me. So I'm freaking out. Forget about me. Chew me up. I mean, thank goodness I didn't have my period because that would have been real scary. Because I'll tell you what, those sharks, yeah, they like blood, right? So you had to be careful. You didn't have any nicks or anything going on. So it was, it was absolutely crazy. But what an experience! The snorkeling in Belize was the best I've ever seen. Yeah. So come check it out. Jason and Demers, thank you. And Folts, I don't know if you're a big basketball fan. I don't know this about you. I'm not.
Oh yeah.
I'm not, but we are in the same family. And the Utah Jazz, baby. Are you kidding me? Second. Oh, I love it.
My college. It's not NBA, but that's college ball right there. So those are the Boilers. But the Jazz, Nasher.
Yes.
Big win.
Unreal. Second overall pick. How good is that? So yes, you got to stink a little bit. And you get rewarded. And did they get rewarded? This team, the Mammoth, like if you're in Salt Lake, like you have so much to cheer about.
Buy stock now. Yeah, it's pretty exciting with the Jazz and the Mammoth that like it's very conceivable that we have to schedule around NBA and NHL playoffs this next season, right? And I think in the NBA, like 20 teams make the playoffs too. There's a play-in round, so like an additional round basically. So most of the league makes the playoffs. So super exciting time to be a Utah sports fan. But also, Tyson, because of the future of the Mammoth, not just because of the team that exists already, but because of the players who are on their way. We've been following some junior hockey as you know, other leagues are continuing their postseasons. How about this? In the Quebec Maritime Junior Hockey League, the Utah Mammoth had two prospects make it to the final round. Caleb Denoyer, who was 4th overall last year, and Gabe Smith, who was a 4th-round pick in 2024. Now, their team, the Moncton Wildcats, they lost the series in the finals, Tyson, but Gabe Smith still got the MVP.
It's like Connor McDavid.
Yes. They lost the series, but he had 19 goals in 21 playoff games. He almost had a goal per game in the playoffs. Get this. Caleb Denoyer and Moncton and Gabe Smith won the QMJHL last season. They won the whole thing. Denoyer was the playoff MVP a year ago. This year, it's his teammate and another future Utah Mammoth, Gabe Smith, who wins the MVP. How about that?
And you know what? You know what the beauty of it is? Because I'm not all about math, but I am all about math. And when you do the math for the Utah Mammoth, I know. Bear with me. The smoke is going. Where are these guys all going to play? Like, look at your top six already. Right? I mean, it's like, where are these studs coming up? Where are they going to play? And they're going to make room for them. But I mean, these are the good problems that we've never had in Arizona. Now Utah and the Mammoth, are you kidding? They have so many guys, they're not going to even know what to do with, right? So those become, again, chips, right? Whether it's current guys on the roster making room for the Gabe Smiths and the Denoyers, or, you know, the opposite. Yeah, like they're going to have to make room. And this is a problem you dream of as a coach and as a general manager. Where are we going to put these studs that are all going to be like legitimate 70, 80, 90 point NHL players at some point? So love to see it. The draft, that's coming. That's the next big thing that we'll probably be talking about a lot all off season. I'm not even sure what Utah has coming up. I think they have a late 1st round pick.
19th overall, yeah.
Yeah, 19th. So not quite as sexy as they had last year, but they're hopefully going to do something special with that. But just, again, so much to look forward to if you're a Utah Mammoth, Utah Jazz. And that's the other thing I love about it. You know, the Jazz was embarrassed this year, right? Even though I know they're rebuilding, but when you see one franchise excelling and going in one direction, if you're a leader on the other team, on the basketball team that's in the same city, you're so jealous, and you're probably a little embarrassed, or you should be, because you want to be there. You want to be the talk of Salt Lake, right? And it was all Mammoth this year, but there's going to be some healthy competition on both organizations, and that's what you love, folks.
Oh, it's gonna be great. So, yeah, exciting futures for both Utah, or both the Jazz and the Mammoth. Denoye is going to be 19 next year, so there's going to be a new rule, we think, where he can play in Tucson as a 19-year-old, which was not available before.
Is he signed? Is he signed?
I can't honestly remember.
See, so this is the interesting part, right? And even for a guy like Tej, right? I know he's signed, so that's like, it's going to be interesting now how general manager.
He signed in
so
March,
he signed in March, so he cannot. Him and Tej cannot go play in the NCAA, right? And make that NIL money. They. So I think it's going to be interesting how agents and how GMs of the NHL teams are going to handle these players. Because where do you want them to go? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm just asking. Like, do you want them to go in the American Hockey League at 19? Probably. Right? Or do you want them to go to college and play NCAA and get out of junior, right? Because you've done all you can do in junior now, right? And that's going to kill the CHL, because they're going to lose so many unreal 18 and 19-year-old and 20-year-old players, right? That never happened before, because they're going to go play in the NCAA. And they're going to go play, if they're really good, in the American Hockey League, like a Denoye. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. But because he's signed, I get it. That's the only option for him. Otherwise, he goes back to junior. But brilliant rule change by the NHL. They continue to push all the right buttons. And again, what a show, man. What a pod. That was a beauty, buddy. And we're just getting We're just getting started for the summer. But I love it when we can talk about the playoffs, right? And what's going on currently, because there's so much to just unload, right? And chat about. So,
well, the next time we record a show, we're going to be knee deep in the conference finals. So we'll be checking out all those games. We'll have, like Tyson said, we're going to start to get into draft talk. Not quite yet, but as we get later into June, we'll hit some of that stuff as well. Tyson, you got a beach to enjoy. I'm in my childhood basement right now.
Are you back home, buddy? Yeah, I love it.
Back home. My little niece had her 1-year-old birthday, so I'm looking at some of the windows I broke as a kid. Like, there's some dents.
Crawling in and out of?
What's that?
Crawling in and out of, trying to sneak out after curfew. I know you.
That was the way to get in. We have these window wells, right? Like up top. So, and you could kind of like push him back from the outside and slide back in. I was a good kid. I wasn't causing trouble.
Yeah.
Well,
right
down the middle.
All right, buddy. I gotta get out of here. All right. This ocean is calling my name. My toupee is gonna blow off here if we record any longer. So
say hi to the sharks for me. Thanks, everybody.
See you guys.